Well, hey everybody, backyard scrapping here. We're actually in between refines right now. I finished up that that local refine that I was doing. I actually have one I'm in the process of. I'm waiting to get a few more stuff. This is going to be for video. I'm waiting for a couple more things to get here before I start it. Actually, I have two. William and Andrew, another Andrew and William again, or anyway, my Williams and Andrews that I have so many of. Anyway, we have a couple refines we're going to be doing on those shortly. I'm actually waiting for some supplies to get in, and in the meantime, I don't know if in the last video I showed you that we had this big bag of stuff to go through, that I do this for. This is for another local fellow, and I'm just more or less going to be sitting here at my desk doing this, so I figured I'd bring you all along, because this is part of scrapping and refining too. This is just more the jewelry end. But this is what I use. I have a little scope. I believe that's a 30 or a 60 power. 24 or 20, no, excuse me, a 16X loop, a 10X loop, my 10X headset, and an acid testing kit. And like I said, basically what we do is we have bags and gobs of this stuff. I don't know where they get it. I don't care. But they give it to me to go through and check out. So that's what I'm going to do. Some of it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you know, like this was, I showed you, this was right in the top last week. I took this right off the top, and I could tell just by the color, you know, that it was real gold. So, I mean, and there's some stuff out there that'll fake you out. I mean, it definitely will fake you out, but this is 14 karat gold. So that's one piece that we've gotten out of that so far. This is, it was a little, like a bracelet type thing. I already know that that's sterling silver, so that came out of this. This is a gold-filled wire wrap ring, which really, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. All you got to do is, if you've got a ring mandrel, you can just take something like this. Oh boy, that's a strong magnet. But when you got something that's bent up like this, if you've got a jeweler's mandrel, a hard one, you can just take that and just slide it right down there and get your mallet, soft mallet, plastic or leather, and tap it right back into shape. And basically, there's nothing wrong with that ring. You know, and there's a lot of work that went into making that. I mean, it was just a little bent up, but other than that, it's fine now. That can be resold by them or gifted or whatever. But so that's what I'm doing with this stuff. I'm basically just going through it. Anything that's of value that isn't junk, that can be repaired, I generally repair for them. The rest of it, we will actually refine it. They give me the, you know, like all the plated stuff, I just throw in a big bag, and eventually one day I'll do it. But it takes tons of electroplate. I mean, if you're going to do electroplate refining, you know, it takes a lot of electroplate. Gold filled is much better. If you're doing plated stuff, you're going to get a lot better yield out of that. But electroplate, you just don't, you know, you just don't get that much. A lot of times I can pretty much just look at these real quick and tell you if they're electroplated or not. Anything usually that's marked, you know, like this one says 18 karat, but it has an EA on it. Usually if it's got an E or some kind of a mark like that on it, that means it's electroplated, so it's actually, you know, nothing. It's always also good to have your magnet. Your magnet will tell you, you know, that is pretty much caca, like that is caca. We know that that is definitely not a precious metal. If it sticks to that magnet that hard, then we know it's just junk jewelry. Helps to have an acid kit, like I said, on stuff that you got to question. Now, just like this is an old moldy, very cruddy looking moldy watch band, but this is a Minnie Mouse watch, and it says copyrighted by Disney, so it is very possible that that may have some collector value, so we'll just set it aside. Here's our junk pile, and this is what I'm going to be doing. I mean, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go through this stuff. This is actually a pretty, that's a cat's eye. I'm not familiar with the name. It says Japan Movement. Water resistant, but that's actually kind of a pretty, you know, pretty watch for a lady, or a lady's watch. It's missing a stone, no, but obviously it's not anything. Another watch we have here. That is a quartz watch, stainless steel, which not a brand name. And then we've got stuff like this that we're going to go through. We're going to check our pearls, check our things that are in there with the pearls, make sure if there's any precious metals. That's a little sand dollar earrings and a little sand dollar thing on a leather. I'm sure that's nothing. That's an empty bag. Let's just check this little guy out. This is possibly gold. And a lot of times too, if something's in a separate bag, you know, I mean, it might be in that bag for a reason, like this. So first thing we will do is look at the clasp, see if we can see anything on it, because that's where you're going to get an indicator. If the clasp says it's gold, that doesn't necessarily mean the chain is gold. You know, these are all parts, and parts can be put together to say whatever they want them to say, as we saw in that last refine. You know, with all that jewelry, none of it was real. And I mean, and they really did a good job on that stuff. But this says 120 gold filled 12K. So this is actually a gold filled necklace. Better than electroplate, but not as good as gold. So we know that that is gold filled. So I will actually just take this and mark gold filled on it, and then anything else that I get that's gold filled we'll throw in this bag. That's not, you know, that's not really going to be a big resale item for them. So we know that that's gold filled stuff. That can be resold. This is broken. I mean, it could be fixed, but it's got a bad break here. But anything that's, you know, this says 14 karat, I'm not going to say that it is or it isn't. I think it is, just from experience, but we will acid test that stuff in a bit. So that's what I'm going to do today. And if you guys want to come along with me, I'm just making a little short, quick video to show you about some of this stuff. Also, many times when you get like an earring like this, you can look for markings here. They'll micro stamp, you know, if it's 14 karat gold, 10 karat gold, but usually you can find a mark. If you can't find a mark anywhere else, there's sometimes going to be a mark on the ear wire itself. This, it doesn't have anything. I don't see any markings on it at all anywhere, and I don't believe, you know, that it's, the magnet's picking it up pretty good. So we're, you know, that's pretty much junk. So we'll throw it over here in the junk pile. Pearls, a quick way to test your pearls is actually with your teeth. Luckily, I still have a couple of real teeth. First off, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that these guys are fake. I know they're fake because they're very light. They're just plastic. Also, a pearl strand, if it's any kind of pearl at all or anything that's any good at all, it's going to be knotted. They're not just going to be strung on here. Now, it is possible that something broke and somebody just restrung, you know, put them on, not knowing that, you know, most of the time pearls are knotted. But you can also take a pearl and you can rub it on your tooth, and if it's smooth, normally it's a fake pearl. You know, it's not real. If it's a gritty, sandy feeling, well, then it's a real pearl. But again, these are just, they're light. It's very, you know, very cheap mount, very cheap clasp, and not knotted. So we know that that's junk. We'll go into a chain. This, more than likely, it looks like electroplate. It's kind of a pretty piece, I guess, maybe for a flea market resale, but they don't care about that. They just want to know if the stuff is real or not real. Alrighty, there's no markings on this. It's very shiny. It also has a little bit of green. And anytime you're seeing green, 14 karat gold, 10 karat gold, it'll be dirty. It can be dirty, it can be whatever, but you're not going to see a green corrosion on it. If it's corroded green, generally that is a plated item. It's not, you know, your karat golds aren't going to show, you know, corrosion like that. And this is corroded, the clasp is, and again, the clasp doesn't really matter. There's no markings on it. There's no markings on this. I can tell that that is just a paste. That stone is glass. It's very poorly cut. In fact, it might not even be cut at all. It might just be molded. So we know that that is pretty much junk jewelry. We'll get into another one here. This little chain. This has a name on it. Again, I don't see any corrosion on this. This is 1/20th 12 karat gold filled. Probably the chain. And that. I don't believe that this is. And I don't believe that that is gold. But it's very possible. It's somebody's name. It's not a common name. So we are actually going to put this over here because we know it's gold filled on that. But we're going to test that in a little bit. Moving on to some other stuff. I mean, as a rule of thumb, your first test is your magnet. This is, again, slightly magnetic, probably copper. That is a fake pearl, definitely a fake pearl. This is I don't know if it's a stick pin, hairpin, whatever. I see no markings on here, where if it was gold it would be micro stamped. Normally, not always, but normally it's going to be micro stamped. This actually just looks like plated, so that's going to go over here in the junk pile. This is just some little, they're plastic, they're not even like a lead glass bead. So yeah, it's cute, it's pretty, it's whatever. There's no markings, just metal, so we know that that's like these pearls. That's just junk jewelry. Going on to here, we have this little gator looking dude, and that looks like pewter to me. It is not silver. It could be off of a key ring or something. It's a little lizard, and we know that that's not silver. And we know that the chain part is definitely a metal chain, steel chain. So, junk jewelry. And I'm not going to bore you with going through every single bit of this. I just wanted to show you what I was doing, just like this. Usually, if you got a good chain, you got a good gold chain or good silver chain, this is how you're going to find it, all knotted up in a mess like that, like this stuff. So I'm going to have to take all these apart so we can test them. We actually may have some gold or gold filled right here. Your fake gold generally looks too goldy. If it looks a little dull, a little bit different, then you possibly have, you know, a good piece. These kind of things you want to keep an eye on. A lot of times these are a club, from a club or a you know, Masons or whatever, but they're a little, but a lot of times these guys are 10 karat gold. So you do want to test these. A lot of times they're not marked. I don't see any marks on this one. It does have a little hand scratch on it down here. And this was also made from something else. So we are going to test this, and it may be gold filled, or it may be 10 karat or low karat gold. So that's what we'll put in the test pile. This I think we already know. Yeah, that was junk. So those are just stainless steel or steel. I did find the stone for this, and like I said, that is it's a pretty little watch, so I can just glue that stone back in, and we can test this booger and see if it works. So this is a possible repair. We already repaired that little ring. This again is something that might be gold filled or gold. It has a price tag of $450 on it, but that means nothing. I mean, this could be old, very old, and I've learned to ignore price tags because most of the time they're either way underpriced or way overpriced. And a lot of times, you know, flea market, if it's flea market stuff, sometimes people don't know what they have. So then we got 39 on the back. This is apparently a custom-made piece. That looks like a mab pearl or mob pearl or whatever you want to call it. But by looking at this clasp, it is a very inexpensive clasp. So more than likely the piece is not anything in particular. I don't see any green on it. It is light. This clasp has been glued to this piece, so it's not an original part of it. And this piece has been glued to this piece. This is very possibly gold or gold filled. So again, you know, you got to look at stuff like this. This has just been epoxied together. This is pieces of stuff that were put together by somebody. So that's not like an original entire cast piece. This little fan is actually separate from the wings, which are separate from this pearl finding, which are actually separate from this back. They're all glued together. So this warrants a test because that looks like gold. So we'll throw that aside. We have our junk pile over here, and I'm gonna just go a couple more minutes to show you a few more things, and then I'm going to end this video. I just want to let you know that we are waiting for some supplies to come in. This is just foil back rhinestones. It's not magnetic, but I know that's junk. I don't even have to test it any further than that. Many times these little bangle looking bracelets, I have gotten a lot of these in junk bags that were actually 14 karat gold. These I don't think are, because they're very rigid, but I'm still going to look at them if I can get these chains off of them. This is a little smiley face. And check this with a magnet, and that is magnetic, so that is junk. We've got another little piece of pewter in here, and it looks like it is possibly on a silver chain. So let me see if I can get to the clasp on this. And this is that is a small sterling silver chain. So we have to weed that one out and get it out of there. This is just pewter or tin, you know, goes in the junk jewelry pile. But this is actually a sterling silver chain. So, okay guys, I ran past my time on the camera there for a minute. We do know in here that we have this little sterling chain that we've got to get out, you know, from all this tangled up stuff. I did want to show you one more thing before we cut out of this video, and as you can see, I've got a ton of stuff here to go through, plus bags over here and all that. But A lot of times you see these. Now this is not magnetic at all. Alright, sometimes these are junk, but sometimes they're sterling, and this one looks very much either like silver or silver plate. But these are an old type jewelry piece. You can also tell by the type of clasp. You know, even though it's a little split ring clasp, they were made a little bit different back in the old days. But that is, we'll have to test this. This is going to go over in the test pile and test to see if it is sterling. So I'm not going to drag you through this because this is going to take me hours to do. We see, you know, we have our junk over here. I'm probably going to fix this watch. We already fixed that ring. So that's what I'm doing today. I just wanted to touch base with everybody, let you know that we will be starting a refine next week as soon as my supplies get here. So I guess we'll wrap this booger up, and I will say to you, as I always do, we'll see you all in the next video.
I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.